Hi, konnichiwa. I'm Fumi, who teaches the Japanese pitch. Today we are going to learn the pitch of verbs, which fall into two groups. If you know these two groups, it will be easier for you to learn the pitch of verb conjugation because it depends on which group the verb belongs to. I deal with the Tokyo dialect, which is also called standard Japanese and is used in most textbooks and national broadcast. So, verbs can be categorized into two groups. But before that, if you didn't know that there are 4 pitch patterns, please watch this video first. You'll know the very basics about the Japanese pitch. Now let's start. Verbs can be divided into 2 groups. One is without an accent and the other is with an accent on the second last letter. When there's a fall in pitch, we say that accent is there. So if there's no fall and it ends with high pitch, we say there's no accent. And the first group is this one, without an accent, and it's called the Heiban pattern. Here's the table of Heiban pattern verbs. All verbs have more than one letter, so it starts with 2-letter verbs, and please look at them. Kau, to buy, iku, to go, and neru, to sleep. These verbs are without an accent, so there's no fall, thus they end high. There are 2 rules about the pitch. The first rule is that the first letter and the second letter always differ in pitch. So if the second letter is high, the first letter is always said low, okay? So kau, iku, neru. Now please look at the 3-letter verbs. Asobu, to play, utau, to sing, and odoru, to dance. They end high. Can you guess the other parts? There's no fall, so the second letter is high. And second letter and the first letter always differ in pitch. So the first letter should be low. So, asobu, utau, odoru. Now please look at the 4-letter verbs. Hataraku, to work. Hajimeru, to begin. And wasureru, to forget. The pitch is like this. They end high without an accent, so they start low. Hataraku, hajimeru, wasureru. Now let's move on to the second group. So the second group is verbs with an accent. And the accent, which is a fall, occurs on the second last letter. So the pitch falls right after that, okay? Please look at the 2-letter part. So the second to last is the first letter for them. So the pitch is like this. Kau, to keep or have animals. Kuru, to come, and yomu, to read. They start high, so they are the atamadaka pattern. And here, atamadaka kau is used to say that you have or you keep animals or livestock. You remember the Heiban word kau from the previous table, and that word means to buy. So their meanings are quite different, so you have to differentiate them by their pitch. Now let's move on to the 3-letter part. Pitch fall occurs on the second last letter, so the first letter should be said low according to pitch rule number 1. The first letter and second letter always differ in pitch. So the pitch is like this. Hanasu, to speak. Taberu, to eat. Aruku, to walk. And can you guess the pitch pattern of 4-letter verbs? Please try. Tsukareru, to get tired. Yorokobu, to be pleased. And sodateru, to grow. So verbs can be divided into these 2 groups, and the possibility is half and half. So half of the verbs fall into the first group and the other half fall into the second group. You can't guess which verb fall into which group. So you have to learn word by word. So when you learn a new word, make sure you have audio and try to learn the pitch. Just listen carefully if there is an accent, which is a fall, and if there is, where it happens, and try to imitate the way the narrator reads. And as you know, verbs conjugate. When verbs conjugate, the same group verbs change their pitch the same way as the other verbs do in the same group. If you need to know how verbs conjugate, please watch my video about verb conjugation. I added the link in description box. The groups for verb conjugation and the groups for the pitch pattern aren't the same. They are 2 different things, so please don't mix it. They're different things, okay? Now let's start with the pitch of Heiban verb conjugation. As you can see, the dictionary form, the nai form, the ta form, and te form are Heiban too. Kau, asobu, 働く、買わない、遊ばない、働かない、買った、遊んだ、働いた、買って、遊んで、働いて。As for the mass form, there is an accent on ま which means there's a fall right after ま。買います、遊びます、働きます。As for the but form and the volitional form, the accent is put on the letter before either ば or う。So ば or う is said low. 買えば、遊べば、働けば。買おう、遊ぼう、働こう。Now let's move on to the second group, which has an accent on the second last letter. This group originally has an accent, and they maintain having an accent after conjugation. The point is where a fall happens. As for the ない form, the pitch falls before ない。So, 買わない、話さない、疲れない。買わない、話さない、疲れない。As for the た form, the て form, and ば form, the accent is on the two letters before た、て and ば。買った、話した、疲れた。買って、話して、疲れて。買えば、話せば、疲れれば。But if these forms are made of only two letters, then the pitch would be the 頭高. For example, 見る to look. The た form and て form is 見た and 見て. 来る to come. The た form and the て form is 来た and 来て. And they are the 頭高 pattern. And the mass form and the volitional form are the same as the first group. So the pitch falls right after ま、買います、話します、疲れます。And before う、買おう、話そう、疲れよう。Some of you might think, then what happens to 買う to buy and 買う to keep animals? How can you tell which is which? And that's a good question. The answer is you have to decide by the context, or you have to ask the speaker. So if you just say 犬を飼います、it can mean either I'm going to buy a dog or I'm going to have a dog. We never know. But these kinds of confusion don't happen often. Rather, it works in favor of you because it's easier to just remember when you use the mass form. The pitch drops right after ま、買います、行きます、話します、終わりにします。I'll finish. So this is the basics of the verb pitch patterns. It must be hard to remember everything. What you can do is listening to Japanese people talk a lot and try to imitate their pitch. And when you learn a new word, make sure you have audio and try to learn its pitch by listening to the audio. That's about it today, and thank you, Janet, for taking the script, and thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please write them down in the comment box below. I'll read all the comments. I'll see you soon. Bye! またね!